Now that we've seen some of how society shapes our individual personality, and how we shape our own social identity through social exchange, we need to take a look at how our interactions change every day based on the group around us, and how group interaction has changed in society as a whole. We've already seen that our social identities and cultural roles are complex, consisting of many different positions in our status set and multiple roles for each of those statuses. But the status and roles that are active at any given moment are based largely on who we're with at that moment. Between individuals and society as a whole are social groups of various sizes and shapes. An individual alone can't create social structures. From understanding social constructions of reality to institutions that perform key functions across the generations, society is built by groups of people interacting with some shared purpose or understanding. Social groups, from couples to companies, have something in common, whether it's mutual recognition of group membership or a temporarily shared activity. Appropriate roles for interaction are based largely on social distance within the group. Social distance is how well you know someone and the nature of the relationship. This chart was made to help people with certain disabilities understand appropriate behavior with different types of people. It's okay to hug your mother, but not okay to hug the mail carrier. Starting from the center, yourself, there are probably only a few people that you feel totally comfortable with. These are your closest primary relationships that you know well and have strong feelings for. Then there are your secondary relationships, people who you know, but usually not as well, and generally only through some shared activity. Furthest away are strangers, who you find yourself interacting with temporarily, but don't know each other outside of that brief meeting. This is a spectrum, and many people probably exist between these levels. Casual friendships, people who you almost know through shared connections in your social network. I included famous people here because they occupy a strange place where, due to the one-way interaction of mass media, you might know a lot about them, but they know nothing about you. If you see your favorite actor on the street, don't be surprised if they aren't thrilled when you give them a hug. Many of us have been warned of stranger danger since we were children, because they have no personal status to us and we don't know about their roles and personality. Because we have little else to go on, strangers are often judged based on the stereotypes we associate with whatever biological or subcultural traits we can see. Yet strangers can also be a source of freedom because they are anonymous with no known status and no connection to anyone we know. They can be peers with whom we can experiment. But at the opposite extreme are those who we know very well, our primary groups. With them too, in some ways at least, we can act freely, letting them into our backstage because we trust them. We care about them for who they are, not what they do. To gain that kind of emotional attachment and trust usually takes time, so these are groups that tend to last a long time, and our group status is an important part of our identity. There's an Arabic proverb that sums up the relationship between social distance and group loyalty. Me and my brother against my cousin, but me and my cousin against a stranger. Simba's primary groups are his family, his best friend Nala, and his close friends Timon and Pumbaa. Within each group, we see Simba at his most vulnerable and playful. Secondary groups are usually more formal. People you study or work with, who we know for the role that they play, not for the individual personality. When you go on meetup.com to find people to play a game with, you're likely to be on front stage until you get to know those individuals better. These groups can form and dissolve quickly, and we don't tend to feel strong loyalty, but of course there are always exceptions. For Simba, Rafiki the baboon holy man is only an occasional part of his life, and connecting for specific purposes. The hyenas only interact with Simba because they want to hurt him. He's known Zazu the parrot for all of his life, yet Zazu is there to do a job. He works for the king, so Simba feels little emotional connection or loyalty to him. Social networks are larger than any one group, but connected by individuals with multiple group memberships. I may not know all of my sister's friends, but I could get to know them through her. This can be useful social capital for getting jobs or favors, or making new friends. Sometimes, smaller groups get together to form a coalition. Like two couples going on a double date, the smaller groups remain separate, but share a temporary goal or activity. One famous case was the Axis powers of World War II, Nazi Germany, Fascist Italy, and Imperial Japan joined forces to fight their mutual enemies. Groups can change over time. A coworker might become a friend, or a friend may even become a casual acquaintance. Coalitions can merge, such as the early Confederated colonies merging to form the United States. Groups can also fracture, such as when the Civil War temporarily split the northern and southern states. It's not just the social distance of a group that affects its structure, but also its size. Generally, bigger groups have more social distance, but are more stable. The smallest groups of just 2 people, dyads, can be extremely intimate, sharing secrets and unique patterns of interaction, but if one person leaves, the group is gone. As soon as you get to 3 people, a triad, the group is more stable but loses that private intimacy. With more people, there are more connections between people, and one individual can help strengthen bonds between other members of the group. Marriage counselors or even children can help hold a couple together when their own bond weakens. Even if one person leaves a larger group, the group remains and can teach new members the ways of the group, forming something like a microculture. But bigger groups can also subdivide into smaller groups, and will generally do so unless held together by more formal structures.